From the Brightside Tavern in Jersey City, New Jersey, it's In the Spotlight with Earl Morgan and Tinia Bland.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Hi.
Earl.
Good evening, Tinia. This is Earl Morgan. This is Earl Morgan, your host for In the Spotlight with my co-host, Tinia Bland.
Good evening, everyone.
It's good to see you again. We've been very busy this week, haven't we?
I have.
Well, we can talk about that. And I have two guests tonight. Very interesting black women.
Yes.
Strong black women.
That's right.
Carolyn Fair, who is the president of the Jersey City chapter of the National Action Network. You might know that better as Reverend Al Sharpton's organization, the NAN. And we have Pamela Johnson, who is the director of the Jersey City Anti-Violence Coalition. And we've had a lot of violence around here to be anti to. And we're going to get into that. But first of all, I'd like to welcome all of you people who have come down to see our show.
Yes.
And I urge anyone else who wishes to come down to the Brightside Tavern here on Bright Street in Jersey City. Not only is you can come on Monday nights when we tape. We're here from 5 to 7. You can hang around, listen to some great jazz because that comes on after we go off, and get some great, really great food.
And meet the proprietor,
And
Tommy
yes,
Two Scoops.
you need it. For everybody in Jersey City has got to come and meet Tommy Two Scoops Parisi.
Yeah.
Because you got to meet him to believe he's real. I call him the impresario. He's one of the best things that I guess you could say gentrification has brought to Jersey City. But we're going to get down into our topics tonight. And a couple of things I'd like to talk about. Both Tinia and I have been hashing this through for years.
Yes.
But we have a violence problem, a crime problem in Jersey City, a serious crime problem. People are being murdered in the streets, shot in the streets. That's not to talk about the burglaries, the car thefts, and everything else. We sort of put them aside now.
Yes.
Because there are so many people who are losing their lives to gun violence. Just Sunday morning, I'm home and I hear this bang, 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 bang. Now, there's a difference between a firecracker and a 9mm. And unfortunately, everybody in our community knows the difference. We know when it's a gunshot and we know when it's a firecracker. And in some areas, the minute they hear it, they duck and cover. But we now also have a new development that we'd like to discuss with both of these women and Tinia and I. We just got some cops on the street. They say cops on the beat, but that's a little misleading. So first of all, I want to explain that. The police, we've been beating up on the Jersey City Police Department now for years.
Yes.
Because of the lack of police presence. Finally, they put some police on the street. But to say they're walking the beat, well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. They're more or less standing in one spot on a street corner, for instance, on Bram Hall and King Drive, or Bram Hall and Oak Street, or Ocean Avenue and wherever.
Yes.
And they're not moving. And I'm not so sure that's all of what we need. We're thankful for anything we can get, of course, but this is not going to stop crime. It's not a full menu of things that you can use to fight the crime problem. And I would like to get from all three of you your reactions to this new thing where we now have cops on the street, not necessarily on the beat, but on the street. Let's start with you, Pamela.
Well, I'd like to see the cops on the beat. It's, I know you said not walking the beat, but on the street. So I do like that aspect. I do think that a visual picture can kind of deter crime. However, I do think community engagement is definitely, needed and wanted. And I think using that aspect as far as just not standing there, but, kind of monitoring the situation and seeing the neighbors walk by and engaging people and to continue to actually walk down the drive, whether it's the MLK Drive or Ocean Avenue, I think that you definitely have to engage the community. The people, the children getting out of school, even acknowledge the cars riding by when they're at the stoplights. So I think all of that can, kind of make up the whole scenario we're
Carolyn?
talking about.
Well, first of all, let me just make this correction. I'm the president of the North Jersey Chapter National Action Network, but we're based in Jersey City. Now, getting to the question, I'd like to say Jim Shea promised that this was going to
Jim
happen.
Shea is the director, public safety director.
And I've known him since then Councilman Steve Fulop introduced him to a group of clerics 2 or 3 years ago. And I find him to be a man of his word. And I am not one to just race and give any kind of, let's say, good talk about folks. He's tried and true. We had a meeting with Director Shea some 10 months ago at the Hub Jersey City Police Office. We presented him with a list of demands. One of them is having, police presence, police walking the beat. Now, part of that has come to fruition. As he stated to us 2 weeks ago at a meeting, again, at Greater Tabernacle Baptist Church, he said that, this was our idea and these are the things that had been done. All of that's good, yes, and I certainly ditto what Pam has said. We love the fact that there's police presence, but we don't want you to be stationary. We do need you to be a little more mobile. Well, militant, as I explained, militant means you're on the move, you're walking. And we need them to do that. We need them to interact with our communities, as she said, whether it's Motion Avenue, as I call it, or MLK, which used to be Jackson, I call it Action Avenue, Bergen, the Boulevard, wherever. We're appreciative, and we look forward to a lot more interaction, inter-community interaction with our police department.
Yes.
Recently there was a reopening of the Salem housing, and I got a private view of it. And one of the things that Dr. Rudy Daniels, who now has his name on one of the buildings, was told me, is that they requested the police be stationary on Martin Luther King and Oak. It has made a great difference. So in that defense, I'm going to say kudos go out to Director Shea. They are there, and there's an element that took home on that corner, and they're not there. And I saw it night after night, and the only night I did not see it was when it was pouring down rain. Any difference that stops one killing, I think is fantastic.
Okay, it's time for me to weigh in.
Okay.
Now,
Parker, what do you think?
well, let me put it this way. Having been old enough to have seen cops on the beat, and a lot of people in this room probably never did, there's a big difference between standing in one spot and moving up and down the street. Now, I go back so far, there were no cell phones and all that stuff that we have now, and there were these little boxes on the street where cops would come in down the street and open it up, and then they would report in where they were on their beat. And people knew them because they walked and they talked. I remember one time, I have to divulge this one very serious incident that happened. It shows you how the goods and the bad about the cops can work. There were two cops we called the Bobbsey twins. They made it their life's business to beat up every Black Panther they could get their hands on. And they were just mean, they just had it in for people down there on King Drive. At least it seemed that way. And one time they were on the corner of Orient and what was then Jackson Avenue, now King Drive, with shotguns. And there's a crowd of people out there.
The police?
Oh, yes, both of these two officers. So I went down the street. There was a cop named Don Logan. We called him Kojak. He was a white cop with a bald head and a lollipop. And for you youngsters, there was a TV series with Tully Savalas called Kojak. And he was in plain clothes, usually, Don Logan. And I knew he was down there. So I went and I said, hey, Don, you know, Hamilton and Moran, that was the two cops. They're out here on this corner with shotguns right on Orange. He said, they're what? He said, what? I said, I don't know what they're going to do. But he said, what? He took off on a run. And he broke up the crowd and he said, look, put those things away. What are you going to do but hurt somebody? Now, there is the difference between cops on the beat and cops on the beat.
Yes.
And that's my issue. That the other thing is that Saturday I happened to come home on a Bergen Avenue bus, got off at Bergen and Gifford. I'm sure everyone knows that's supposed to be a hot spot now, right?
Okay.
I get off the bus. Across the street is the community on what is Emory and Bergen. Very short, 5 seconds away. We're getting ready to go into a break. So, and there's a couple of guys. There were a bunch of guys shooting dice, and with the car radio blasting, and no cops. Mm-hmm. So where are the cops? All right. So we're going to go on a break, and we will be back very shortly. Sticks there. Don't go nowhere.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
Attention. Parents of children in Hudson County school districts, including Harrison, West New York, Jersey City, Hoboken, and Union City. You may qualify for free or low-cost child care. The Urban League of Hudson County is providing parents with the opportunity to apply if eligible for before and after school care for children 3 and 4 years old. Find out how. Come to our offices or call at 201-451-8888 extension 186. Urban League of Hudson County. In the spotlight on the GoPro Radio Network. GoProRadioNetwork.com, that is. This is a program you can pick up online on GoProRadio.com. It comes on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and there's 2 hours of our show. And believe me, it's interesting. We do our shows here at the Brightside Tavern, which is one of the coziest and fun places to be. I come here, I always see people I know. I eat here. The food is great. And then, of course, there's Tommy Parisi, 2 Scoops Parisi, who is he's an attraction all in of himself. You got to come here and see what I mean, because you got to meet him. Everybody, most of the people in town knew. I was the last one to find out about this place. Hadn't it been for Tinia brought me down here, and I said, oh, okay. Yeah. We're going to go back to our discussion about police and what is going on with the police and what the Anti-Violence Coalition that Pamela is the director of had a meeting. She did not tell me about this, and I am upset.
I do apologize.
I do
apologize. I am so sorry.
But that will be the last one we don't know about.
Yes,
Tender merits for you.
Yes.
But I want to explain what that's about.
Let me just say that the open meeting only came about because I update my website weekly. And so this was the first time I went on the website last week on a Monday to update it. And then there was so many requests to get involved. I mean, from council people, from, regular activists and just ordinary people in Jersey City. And so they wanted to get involved and find out how they can be a part of this movement. And so I just started emailing people back, and then everyone was free. So it was very quick. And it was a nice turnout, and then we had a reporter from the Jersey Journal come, and that was great. But Mr. Morgan, always you will have first dibs on.
I mean, I know I used to work
coming.
at the Jersey
Yes,
Journal.
we.
Because I'm not there anymore, so you just kicked me to the curb.
I'm
and
sorry.
Deal
Never
with
happen
them
again.
with those young whippersnappers up there. That
But
report
let's
now.
get to the meat and potatoes of it. So what is the organization proposing?
Well, the open meeting was to just see who was as committed as we were. So, while we're out on the streets, we kind of engage people who no one else wants to talk to. So whether it's someone homeless laying on a bench sleep, or whether it's the young lady who's been a prostitute on Ocean Avenue in front of the cemetery for a very long time, who most people probably don't talk to, or whether it's a drug dealer on the corner. So these are the people who we engage, and people who we, have a lot of data on. We've been collecting this data for about a year now.
So
Coming up on a year.
let me ask the question the audience wants to hear. Engage for what?
Well, engage to bring the resources they need in the particular areas to try to solve the problem of violence. So what it is that you have a lot of ex-offenders coming home. You have a population of homeless people. You have a population of people who are selling and using drugs. So we can have as many employment trainings and job trainings and workshops and expect people to show up because they're free. But if you're not really giving them the needs that they, would actually make them productive citizens, then we're not really tapping into the problem. So over the course of, a lot of years, there have been Band-Aids put on old wounds. So, you come home from jail and then you go to this job training program, but what are they teaching you in the job training program? While you're estranged from your kids and your mother and your father. And so it's so many other issues in the urban areas where the most violence is that simple, just programs put in place is not going to work. And so we talk to these people to see what they need and assess their needs, and then we put the information together, and that's what we're in the process of doing now and presenting to the powers that be, who may help us, put programs into place to help them.
So at this point, is this a service-driven organization?
Oh, definitely.
So are you able to implement the needs of the community?
Well, right now we're assessing what those needs are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been assessing?
Well, we were just born in July of last year. So when Officer Santiago was killed, it was started as a Facebook post from. I think it was my field director. He started the Facebook post just to see who wanted to get involved, and there were 4 people, just regular folk, mothers and fathers, who wanted to get involved. And we don't get paid. We don't get any grants. We don't get any funding. It's all about our pockets. So whatever we work, whatever job we have full time, pays for the organization. So whatever you see us doing comes out of our pocket.
So right now, the organization is collecting data
Yes.
for research,
Among-
for resources later.
Amongst other things, yes.
Well,
I
what
mean,
are the
for
other
the various events that we have backpack drives, we have book fairs, and we're talking right now about having a uniform drive and anti-violence summit at NJCU, which we're not really sure of that location because we're thinking kind of St. Peter's maybe. But, so it's a lot of planning going on. And while we're planning, we're still working and walking.
Good. Tell us about your last 2 events, not the meetings, but actually events such as the backpack and whatever else.
Well, our last 2 events, we had an event for Easter, and so it was called Community Togetherness Family Fun Day. And it was a collaboration with Bayside Park Neighborhood Association. And so it was down Bayside Park, and we gave away about 1,000 eggs. It was the Easter hunt with about 1,000 eggs. Pole Position Raceway donated 4 tickets to the winner of who collected the most eggs. Also, Liberty Science Center donated 4 tickets to the winners of who collected the most eggs. We had food, and we had engagement with the community. Visiting Homemaker Services participated. There's a group of young women called Shades, and they also participated and gave out some literature and engaged the community. And there's a men's empowerment group who only take on young male adults who also participated. And then recently on Boswick Avenue on Saturday, we had a food giveaway, which was in conjunction with Prayer Warriors United. And so, we fed 159 people. Men, women, and children, and also engaged them in various activities. There was a group, Honeybees, who was out there doing the double dutch, which I love. I actually got to jump in myself after 20 years.
How's that?
It was good. It was good. I think I did good. That probably lasted for about 20 seconds, but it was okay. I enjoyed it, and I found that I still got it.
There you go.
So it was a lot of ministry up there, and I really loved it. And as a matter of fact, when we were leaving, and I was taking a colleague of mine home, I drove past the hub in which I saw an African-American woman standing alone with a microphone and ministering to that group of afflicted individuals who sit out there every day, who we know are on drugs, addicted to alcohol, and various other issues that they may have, whether it's mental health issues. And she was ministering by herself to this entire group. And for that young lady, I don't know you, but I appreciate you. And so that's what the role we're on right now.
Okay.
The two things I'm reminded of in that I don't often read the letters that appear when I wrote a column, because I wrote what I wrote, and if you like it, fine. If you don't, fine. I don't. But once in a while, I will take a look, because people will say, "Well, you need to see this," and I took a look at some of the letters one day, and the tenor a lot of what they say is, you should do something about the situation down there yourselves. Well, it's not like we're not trying. There are dozens of community groups like Pamela's working to try to do what they can do with what limited resources or what resources they can put together. But we're not police and we're not vigilantes. We can't arrest anybody. We don't have that power. And we're at the mercy of people who are willing to fire off a gun and shoot somebody 24 hours a day. It isn't like you can say, well, it's 9 o'clock, guys. The criminal union now says you have to be off the streets. They operate all the time.
No vacations.
No vacations, no breaks. And our cops have to operate all the time. No vacations, no breaks. They have to be out there. And that is what concerns me, because if there's somebody firing 9 or 10 shots from a semi-automatic weapon, that's a lot of shots. Nobody certainly, thank goodness, as far as I know, was hit by any of those bullets. But to be able to stand out there and fire off 10 rounds, should have been somebody in a blue suit came to see about you right quick. And there wasn't. And because the cops can't be everywhere, you can't blame them for everything. And many of our problems, as Pamela and Carolyn has said, go beyond the police. They're not social workers. That's not what they do. They arrest you when you commit a crime. But a lot of the social work is on us and the people who run the city. And I think some of that is coming out right now. Carol, I know there was something you did at a church not too long ago. I remember seeing an email from you. What was that?
That was a follow-up meeting with Jim Shea, Director Shea, and other like-minded people. Of course, Jersey City Anti-Violence Coalition was there, among many others. And as a matter of fact, North Jersey Chapter, National Action Network, and Jersey City Anti-Violence Coalition, we have mingled together. We're basically one entity. So, and that's only because we have the same, we're like-minded, and we see the need. We see the need, and as you said, Earl, the police are not social workers, although on that, Jim Shea said that, another one of our demands 10 months ago was retraining of police, yes. Sensitivity training. And he has assured us that's been done, and it's an ongoing process. So once again, kudos to Jim Shea, a man who lives up to his word. Now, our communities, we all know they're suffering. And this gun violence thing, it has a whole bunch of factors underlying. Number one, the miseducation of our people. If you're not educated, you're already in a bad environment, a lot of us. So if you're not educated, you have a miseducation, you're not equipped, you have no tools to compete with anyone. And as people of color, we know that we have to do things 4 times better than our Caucasian counterparts. That's not racism, that's just fact. And we are a lot of times poorly trained. I don't know how many of you know. From the time a black male or black or brown male is born, they're tracked. By the 4th grade, there are already statistics saying how many out of this class will go to prison. Also, we must realize that prison is $1 billion industry.
Repeat it. It is.
Prison is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And once again, here we go again to use the words of Earl Morgan, a phrase he coined, Jim Crow economics. We don't have the money to invest in that. But our investment is our young people, our young black men. You know, and this has to stop. Going back to what Pam said a few minutes ago about the folks coming out of prison, going to these programs who basically train them for little to nothing. I mean, let's just be perfectly clear. One of our reentry programs, this big money, but you're not preparing our people. And I'm going to go back a few years. Hudson County Jail. One of the best directors, wardens they ever had is Ralph Green, who they wooed and wooed and wooed and got him here from Washington, D.C. correction system. He came here, he started programs to rehabilitate the, quote, prisoners, unquote. Well, needless to say, apparently some people didn't like it, the higher up, so they got rid of him. And since then, those programs have died. So we're talking about poor preparation. Poor preparation will certainly lead to a life of crime. We have these drug dealers on just about every corner. You know, I don't like what they're doing, but you know what? They have to feed their families too. This is what they know. This is what they're shown. As I was saying to Earl Morgan some time ago, education, environment, education, environment. The key is education, education, education.
Thank you, Carol.
We're going to wrap up.
Thank you. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.